Hi everyone, so this is a supplementary video for those of you interested in Final Cut Pro, just a basics tutorial in case you haven't got experience yet. But this is a new project and you'll see the composition settings. You can change the title, change which event, those are like the folders that you have your files in, your resolution and your frame rate. Here you've got a few presets, but you can also go down to 5K or you can go to custom and you can make your own. You've got different sizes and the different frame rates. Now I use 30 frame rates per second because I do motion graphics, but films usually tend to do 25 and below. So for this project, we can do 25 frame rates per second. Now after that, you can choose your rendering options. Now I tend to stick with the default because it's never failed me, but you can always go for the top one. Maybe it'll take a little bit longer and the file will be a little bit bigger. Now these are your audio settings. I just leave them where it is and you press OK. Now immediately after that, it opens a new project. On the left hand side, you can see all your different events and your folders and the different presets that comes with Final Cut Pro, like audio and all your favorites, all the different tags. You can also create new events and new folders to import your files in. Here you'll see the list of projects that you've made and all the different media you've imported. Now, if you want to import even more media, you can simply drag it straight from your SD card or your desktop or wherever your media is. So for me, I'm just going to go in, pick a video, just a random one. I filmed a little vlog for my mom earlier today, so that might be, yep, there we go. Drag it into the timeline, and as you can see, Final Cut Pro has that timeline brushing mouse moment going on, which is super helpful, but can be super annoying. So it moves the preview along as you go along the video. You can turn this off by clicking that one button. Now, you can also transform the video using the scale. You can rotate it. You can distort it if you want it to look a bit skewed and play with like dimensions. You can also crop it, trim, or use a Ken burn. These can help you a lot with like transitions and all that stuff. Right, so one of the reasons why FCP is so loved by beginners is because it has such an easy user interface, and also it's got tons of effects and transitions installed along with the software. So here you can see all the different video and audio effects from basics, blur, you've got color grading, you've got distortion for audio, a lot, and you've got transitions as well, which can really, take your video up a notch. Now, a very famous cinematic transition is the fade in, and you can see this in a lot of scripts when they're like fade into kitchen, midnight, blah blah blah, fade out to this, blah 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 blah. So if you can't find it, just type in the search bar fade and it should give it to you. Drag it onto the video and you should be able to preview it. Here I'm a bit struggling because I don't know why the brush isn't working, but yeah, see, it fades into the actual video. You can delete it and then change it. If you're not confident with your keyboard shortcuts, here is a button to show you all the different ways you can use your mouse on FCP. Now on the right hand side we see all the different video properties, starting from its blend mode, opacity, the transform that we can toggle using the transform button from earlier, cropping and distorting it, and if you're not satisfied you've also got a stabilization feature. Now I don't really trust this one because it usually ends up quite messy, so while we're waiting for FCP to analyze, and you can see it's rendering right now, we can go ahead and check our color properties, which is a triangle. Now you see here there's like the exposure tab, saturation, and color. Now if I'm not wrong, we must have a curves, like a color curves effect on FCP. I'm currently on the transitions tab, but let past me figure it out. Color grading in film is very subtle but very powerful. I'm not going to go into much detail in this little tutorial because this is a basic tutorial. So yeah, as you can see, the stabilization was very messy earlier, so I turned it off. Now back to color grading. Exposure, you've got the master controls and like the different 3 tabs for shadows, midtones, and highlights. You can go ahead and play with each one to achieve the look that you like. Same goes for saturation and color. Here's me searching for color curves and transitions and then realizing I'm wrong, and then looking for curves again. Now see, you should get color curves. There you go. I myself like this much better than the color properties that we have, because I like to play with the different graphs and add and subtract things that I do not want from my scene. We can go over a deeper understanding of color grading in the workshop, but for now, this is all that we need for the basics. Right. So I guess I'm showing the different audio enhancements. Oh, right. You can change the different presets for equalization to choose for like voice enhancer, music enhancer, etc., depending on the scene that you're shooting. Yeah, I wish I could show you me editing a film that I'm working on, but I really cannot. So the different ways that you can use this mouse: you can trim a video by dragging it, you can cut it. This can also be done with Command B. You can grab at the timeline. You can change the position of that video. If I had more footage, I could show you, but I don't. And now we can move on to the title and the generators, which are animation presets that come with FCPX. Very, very helpful for content creators. There's like a vast range that you can choose from, and they're all very creative, like this one or this flowery one. You know, you can have a lot of fun with FCPX. Like this comic book thingy was very popular in 2015, same as this little stripe situation. The CNN, mock CNN news anchor vibe type as well. Now I got this as a plugin, this 360 degrees, like a 3D preset set. You don't really need it. Now generators, like I said, are animated presets, so they can serve as like a background, could help you with a title sequence if you do not have stock footage. But yeah, it's there for whatever you need it for, and it has so many different options you can choose from. So now that we've got that down, let's search for sound effects. The great thing about FCPX is that, you know, it's all in one. It's such a good package. Look at all these different sound effects. There's so many of them, and if you need anything, just search it. If I type phone, there's so many. There's 27 of them, you know? And just like any media in FCPX, you just drag what you want and you put it on the timeline. Once you're done, you can click the share button and choose what you want your video to be rendered as. Typically go for a master file, but that's too big, so I go for the Apple Video 4K option. Apple devices 4K, right? So here you see the settings again. You can change the name if you want, and you can see the file size and the type of the file and what you can play it on. It's very iOS biased. Here, please double check your resolution because sometimes it changes, and your video code. And you can choose whether you want all video, all dialogue, one, or neither. Then you click next, and it should be rendering very soon. So that's the basics of Final Cut Pro. It should export to my desktop because that was where I put the destination. See, share successful. All right, we closed that notification and we should be able to see our video, but I don't need to see it right now because I do know where it is in my films stack. New film M4V. There you go. So that's it for my basic Final Cut Pro tutorial. Hope you guys come to the workshop. See ya!